I don't think anyone who watches me finds the take that Tucker Carlson is a white supremacist to be particularly surprising. That's probably a very cold take to you guys, you know, very, oh wow, how surprising. But I feel like things are accelerating a little bit. I didn't turn my computer noise on. There you go.
If you're over 40, you may have trouble recognizing your own country. It's just too unfamiliar. Now, the self-righteous children on social media don't care to notice this, and when they do, they dismiss it, any complaint about change, as bigotry. But it's not bigotry. It's human nature. Abrupt change causes social chaos, always. Human beings develop customs and habits and generational expectations for a reason. It's not random.
What we're listening to right now is essentially the 14 words. It's human nature to reject cultural diversity. Look at the change in our country. Look what they took from us. This is essentially the exact same rhetoric that you would see in a Nazi community. It's just, you know, leveled out slightly for television broadcasting purposes.
Continuity is comforting to people. If you eliminate familiar things overnight, societies fracture, populations tend to explode. We've seen that happen. The last industrial revolution, in the end, provoked armed revolutions. Hundreds of millions of people died. Germany got Hitler, Eastern Europe got Stalinism. Yes, we did wind up with antibiotics in the end.
Wait, what is this analysis? The Industrial Revolution made Stalin and Hitler? Wait. Wait, hold on. We've skipped a couple of steps here. Hold on. Wait. Look, we there have been benefits. We got the Industrial Revolution. We got penicillin, but we also got AIDS. What are we talking about? Yeah, the Industrial Revolution and its consequences, I guess.
You could thank technology for that, and we do. But we also got genocide and atomic bombs.
Okay.
There's a lesson here. If you're going to change things, go slowly. Choose the incremental over the immediate.
Wait, is he anti-industrial revolution? Wait. Would doing the Industrial Revolution slower have changed whether we got genocide and atomic bombs? Wait, is he saying that if we fired retrograde during the Industrial Revolution and maybe took 10 years longer to industrialize London, we wouldn't have gotten... What? This is completely nonsensical, by the way. There is absolutely nothing here. The reason, by the way, why he's mentioning the Industrial Revolution is because he's not referring to the actual big shift that he wants to refer to, the Enlightenment. What he's doing right now is signaling the social change and how rapid social change leads people to their genetic propensity to reject that change. But the Industrial Revolution isn't something that Tucker Carlson has a problem with. He's referring to the Enlightenment.
Explain yourself as you do it. Reassure people. Acknowledge the reality of evolutionary biology. It is real. Human beings are not born to be machine components. You can't just bang out improved versions of your citizens on a 3D printer. People in real life are complicated and stubborn and hard to control. Even the most open-minded ones get jumpy when suddenly everything's different. Obviously, and you'd think it would be.
Notice how he's not actually saying what differences he's referring to. He's not actually talking about these differences. He was just talking about technology. But is he really referring to technology here? He's talking about changes today. What technological changes could he be referring to today? He's referring to social changes today. He's using technological changes as an allegory because he doesn't want to refer to the social changes of the past. The social changes of the past that led to a lot of backlash were things like abolitionism, were things like the civil rights movement, were things like the suffragette movement. But if he refers to those, it's plainly obvious that he's engaging in explicitly reactionary talking points, maybe beyond the point he feels his audience would be able to keep up with. So instead, he's using technological progress as an allegory for what he's really referring to, social progress. More specifically, immigration, race, and cultural diversity. He recently had this big speech where he talked about, does anyone have that clip from Twitter? I would love to show it in addition to this, where he talked about the white majority is getting replaced. I mean, he just explicitly did the white nationalist thing. Can somebody in chat throw that here while I finish this clip?
Be obvious. Wise leaders would know that intuitively. If you're going to have relentless technological change, and apparently we are, you cannot inflict relentless social change and expect your society to survive. Things will fall apart if you do that. That's guaranteed.
See, again, what does this mean? What does technological progress have to do with any of this? Dubsy, did you seriously make a second account just to continue the Nosble thing? Vosh, seriously, would any of our past heroes have preferred our current level of diversity? Dubsy, aren't you trans? Would any of our previous heroes have accepted you? What are you talking about? Holy shit.
Yet that is exactly what our leaders are currently doing. They're changing everything, whether we like it or not. A new language, new values, new...
Wait, what new language? Wait, is English not still pretty much the language of the United States? What new values? What are we talking about? All of this, you should be able to see, like, the Pepe Groypers, like, flashing on screen right now. He means WAP.
New biology, new curricula.
New biology.
New social mores and hiring standards and body types. A brand new...
Wait, new body types? This is some boomer get off my lawn shit. This, if you were, I guess, not in tune with the type of stuff that Tucker Carlson believes, this could come off as just another, like, boomer ranting about social change, but the kinds of changes he's most concerned about are pretty explicit.
So it's a political question,
This
obviously.
is the clip.
At least one prediction came true right away. All those little gatekeepers on Twitter did become hysterical.
Hey, that's the second time. Both of these clips open with him complaining about, like, woke people on Twitter. That's interesting. Don't you think it's interesting how just 5 years ago, the whole crazy SJWs on Twitter thing was a talking point exclusively used by conservatives? Like, skeptics, you know. But nowadays, it's being used by the president. Trump used it. Tucker Carlson, the largest TV pundit around, used it as well.
They spent the last 4 days jumping up and down, furiously trying once again to pull the show off the air. Once again, they will fail, though it is amusing to see them keep at it. They get so enraged. It's a riot. But why all the anger? If someone says something you think is wrong, is your first instinct to hurt them? Probably not. Normal people don't respond that way.
So, read between the lines. What Tucker Carlson is saying right here is, if you think that what I'm saying is so bad that you want to hurt me, then you're the not normal one, okay? And then he proceeds to recite the 14 words.
If you hear something you think is incorrect, you try to correct it. But getting the facts right is hardly the point of this exercise. The point is to prevent unauthorized conversations from starting in the first place. Shut up, racist! No more questions!
Anti-racism is a code word for anti-right. My free speech is being censored when I am criticized for my political positions.
You've heard that before. You wonder how much longer they imagine Americans are going to go along with this. An entire country forced to lie about everything all the time.
This forced lie is actually a really common component of Jewish question talking points. Yeah, so far he hasn't even noted a problem, but this forced lie is something that neo-Nazis refer to very often. The lie of forced diversity. And usually this talking point is accompanied with very anti-Semitic comics of Jewish people convincing white people that the only way to atone for their whiteness is to let a bunch of black and brown people into their country. You've all seen these comics, I assume. This is something to which you're familiar. I don't need to put it on screen. This great lie of diversity, it's a fairly common talking point, and I'm pretty sure iterations of that talking point were used by Hitler himself.
It can't go on forever, but you can see why they're trying it. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. Let's say that again for emphasis because it is the secret to the entire immigration debate. Demographic change is the key to the Democratic Party's political ambitions. In order to win and maintain power, Democrats plan to change the population of the country. They're no longer trying to win you over with their program. They're obviously not trying to improve your life. They don't even really care about your vote anymore.
Have you ever heard the phrase demographics is destiny? The idea that people have genetic propensities to certain political positions based on their race, and the Democrats' position is not to convince people in this country, but rather to bring in people with a genetic propensity to vote Democrat.
Their goal is to make you irrelevant. That is provably true. And because it's true, it drives them absolutely...
Guys, when you all fucking Pepe Laugh D, you act like Mike from PA's Community, just so you all know. When it's not even relevant, like, this is some rent-free shit. Chill out, guys.
Crazy when you say it out loud. A hurt dog barks. They scream about how noting the obvious is immoral. You're a racist if you dare to repeat things that they themselves proudly say. Most people go along with this absurd standard. They do.
This is another really common talking point. You get called racist if you don't ignore the evidence of your eyes and your ears. That they're using the term racist to silence the natural response that Americans should be having to this demographic change.
Beautifully shut up. They don't think they have a choice. But no matter what they're allowed to say in public, everyone understands the truth. When you change who votes, you change who wins. That fact has nothing inherently to do with race or nationality. It's the nature of democracy. It
has nothing to do with race or nationality, but right next to me on screen is the phrase immigration and voting rights. Immigration being a topic which concerns both race and nationality. It really makes you think.
is always true. You can watch it happen. You probably have. All across the country, we have seen huge changes in election outcomes caused by demographic change.
Yeah. This is great replacement theory. This is the idea that, oh, hey, we follow each other. That's cool. That's a rarity. This is plain and simple. The idea that, I mean, depending on how far right you are, it's either that Democrats are doing it or Jews are doing it, but fundamentally the idea that white people are being demographically displaced for political gain. That's what's being said here. There's really no other way around it. This isn't new rhetoric either. I think this clip is from 2018. Yeah,
a recent piece in National Geographic tells you a lot about demographics in America and about how bewilderingly fast they're changing without any real public debate on the subject. The magazine profiles the small coal mining town of Hazleton, Pennsylvania. In the year 2000, Hazleton's population was 2% Hispanic. Just 16 years later, Hazleton is majority Hispanic. That's a lot of change. People who grew up in Hazleton return to find out they can't communicate with the people who now live there. And that's bewildering for people. That's happening all over the country.
Notice how whenever he talks about issues like this, he doesn't actually say what the fucking problem is. The closest he'll get to describing a real problem is saying white people are uncomfortable. In fact, he doesn't even go explicitly to say that. He'll say, like, things change. People can't even recognize their country. But he doesn't actually talk about any issues. The reason why he doesn't is because if he did, it'd be easier to disprove him. He implies the worst possible things without stating anything. It's fear-mongering, plain and simple. All of the boomer whites who watch him, who have never seen a black person in their life, have their mouth agape. They're soy-facing right now as they look at him. And they're screeching about how, yes, my country is hardly what it used to be. I can't even recognize it anymore. Yeehaw! But their community has stayed the same for 30 years. The parts of the world that are changing rapidly are major cities, which are overwhelmingly Democrat, and have been for a long time, before and after we had an influx of immigration from Mexico. So the idea that, like, all this incredible demographic change is influencing white people and hurting Republicans, it's just generally not true. Societies change with time. One of the greatest changes we had to our social fabric was about 60 years ago when black people were given first-class citizenship rights. I imagine Tucker Carlson would have complained back then, too.
No nation, no society has ever changed this much, this fast.
A couple Mexican people moved to America. No society has ever experienced change as significant as that. When I went down to my local Taco Bell, okay, the cashier there clearly spoke English as her second language, okay? I had to repeat myself 3 times. 3 times. There has never been social change as fast as... Oh, are we kidding me right now? Come on.
Now, before you start calling anyone bigoted...
Yeah, when I called My fucking Medicare provider, I had to press 1 on the phone to select English. Before, they would just assume English.
Consider and be honest, how would you feel if that happened in your neighborhood? It doesn't matter how nice the immigrants are. They probably are nice. Most immigrants are nice. That's not the point. The point is, this is more change than human beings are designed to digest.
It's the same rhetoric. He won't actually say any bad thing is happening. He'll just say, no, genetically, human beings can't tolerate this much racial diversity.
This pace of change makes societies volatile, really volatile, just as ours has become volatile. And notice where this change is not happening. Any place our leaders live. What? They caused all of this with their reckless immigration policies. And
caused all of what? What's happened? What changes have been made? What are we referring to right now?
Yet their own neighborhoods are basically unchanged. They look like it's 1960. No.
What leaders? Who are we? Do you mean rich people? Yeah, rich neighborhoods don't change as easily with regards to immigration because immigrants tend not to be multimillionaires. Wealthy neighborhoods will change slower in general for a wide variety of reasons.
Demographic change at all in their zip codes. Our leaders are for diversity.
This is a really common Nazi talking point, by the way. You're fine with importing the third world into our country, but you stay in a gated white community. It's a really common Nazi argument right there. And then they'll call people Jewish. You know, it's really, really, really common one. We should be concerned about this stuff. Tucker Carlson has been engaging in this rhetoric for a long time, but Tucker Carlson has only gotten more and more popular. There was an article done on how white supremacists and white nationalists loved Tucker Carlson's Great Replacement rant, the second video that we saw in this clip. Of course they loved it. It's the most popular television broadcaster, period, and they're essentially repeating Nazi propaganda. Things are moving to the right quickly in this country. For example, there are some Republicans, most notably Marjorie Taylor Greene, who have joined up with the America First caucus, which explicitly looks to defend Anglo-Saxon political traditions. This is essentially just the Nazi wing of the Republican Party. There's no real getting around this. America is a nation with a border and a culture strengthened by a common respect for uniquely Anglo-Saxon political traditions. It's as explicit as it comes. Social trust and political unity are threatened when foreign citizens are imported en masse to a country, particularly without institutional support for assimilation and an expansive welfare state to bail them out, should they fail to contribute positively to the country. And then they talk about the progeny of European architecture, where public infrastructure must be utilitarian as well as stunningly classically beautiful. So they don't want shiny buildings, they want buildings with columns, basically. I don't know why white nationalists LARP over this shit so hard. This seems like a weird thing to focus on. It's the meme, yeah. Funnily enough, Trump passed that bill for public buildings to be exclusively limited to like neoclassical styles just a couple of months before he left office. Guys, very soon, I don't know if there's going to be a party split. In fact, I doubt it. Most of the Republicans, most of the Republican officials either do not recognize or do not care about neo-Nazis. Sorry, executive order, not a bill. They don't care. And we're now at the point where Republican congresspeople are explicitly just promoting Nazi rhetoric. A lot of people devalue the significance of this rhetoric because like, oh, it's Nazi rhetoric for them to dog whistle. Oh, it's Nazi rhetoric for them to be anti-immigration. But I don't know how much closer we can get than this. I feel like we're pretty much at the line right now. Or very well past it. And there's nothing we can do about this except learn to identify and push back against these cultural changes, which we need to do. The Democratic Party is not equipped to do this. The Democratic Party may identify far-right tendencies, but they are unwilling to use the power they have to do anything about it. We need to change that. People, they say this sometimes, you know, what is democracy? I'll give you an analogy, okay? Let's say you run a hostel, all right? A hostel for troubled youth. I don't know, young adults, 18, 19, 20. You got problems here, but a lot of people, 40 people live here. And there's one major rule. No violence. No violence. That's the major rule. Everything else you can work around, but that's the major rule right there. No violence. Now let me ask you a question. Let's say Big Timmy goes a little off his rocker and starts fighting people. Breaks the leg off a chair and starts smacking people around, okay? There's violence all about. Now, here's a question to you. You got two options. Do you stop Timmy, probably using violence in stopping Timmy? Or do you think, oh no, this is an anti-violence shelter. There's no violence allowed here. My hands are tied. I can't do anything. Which do you think is the correct answer? And there is a correct answer, by the way. So 1 or 2. What do you think? The correct answer in any sane world is 1. Of course. Because in order to protect anti-violence, you must use, at times, violence against the violent. Sometimes that's really the only option. I mean, God, otherwise all it takes is one lunatic and your entire system collapses because you lack the ability to change them. So I ask you again, with democracy, what is the most democratic decision? To allow neo-Nazis, autocrats, and anti-democrats to take power, thus destroying our system and destroying our ability to fight against them? Or to not allow them to do that? See, in my mind, a pro-democratic decision is a decision which prevents anti-democrats from taking power. Pro-democrats must preserve democracy, as we must here. Something needs to be done about this, and we're not going to get it with limp-wristed denunciations from the Democratic Party.